Nobody told me I was going to be the MC also, but I'll do my best at both jobs. My name is Bill Morgan, and I welcome everybody. The turnout is exciting to see. I wish we had a bigger space and more air conditioning, but what can you do about that? What we're going to do is discuss creation and evolution. This is not a debate about the Bible. It's a debate about science, which is the better explanation using science. Both parties have agreed they're not going to personally criticize each other. They're going to just discuss the subject of science. We ask that none of you applaud, laugh, cheer, heckle, or anything while they're talking. Let's treat them with the respect they deserve. They put a lot of time into this, I'm sure. Yeah. You can say your jokes during the question and answer, which is at the end. Now, we only have 2 hours for the debate, so it's going to be real fast-moving. Hopefully, most of you have a format, which is pretty self-explanatory. There'll be introductions. Part of the debate will be one debater asking the other debater questions, direct questions, and they'll get a follow-up question. That part's always fun. And at the end, we have audience question and answer. And how we're going to do the audience question and answer is after the cross-examination, we're going to ask people who have a question for Dr. Hofmann. So decide if you do, raise your hand. We'll give you a number, and then we'll just pick a number as a lottery. I think this is a lot better than a cattle rush to the microphone. So if you have a question for one of the debaters, you'll be raising your hand later on in the debate, and we'll give you a number. I'd like to introduce the speakers. I'm going to make it really, really short because we want most of them to have the time. Dr. Hovind is on my right. He's president of a creation science group. He was a public school teacher for 15 years, and he's been doing creation science ministries for 12. To my left is Dr. Jim Hofmann, professor at Cal State Fullerton, and anything more they want to tell you about themselves, they may. Now, the timing is going to be done by Dusty Hoffman, Dusty Aldrich, no relation. Dusty Aldrich, my sergeant at arms. He'll be holding up a sign if the lights are on and you can see it. And when time is up, he's going to give them the dreaded beep of death from our taboo game at home. The most obnoxious beep I've ever heard. Okay? So, with no further ado, Dr. Hovind begins with a 20-minute introductory comment.
All right. It is an honor to be here today. Got mine on there, fellas? I think I got to hit this mic too, or? That's just the video mic. Okay. There. It is an honor to be here today. My name is Kent Hovind. I did teach high school science for 15 years, and now I do seminars on creation, evolution, and dinosaurs. One of my hobbies for many years has been collecting textbooks. Oh, okay. I collect textbooks, I have them from many countries, many years, many grades, and there are an awful lot of things in the textbooks that just simply are not true. Richard Dawkins, a fellow who hates creationists, said, it's absolutely safe to say if you meet someone who claims not to believe in evolution, that person is ignorant, stupid, or insane, or wicked. I'd like to show you just a few of my 100 reasons why evolution is religious. It is not scientific. There is nothing scientific about the evolution theory at all. And I contend that it's nothing but a religious worldview that is totally unsupported by scientific evidence. And we even offer $250,000 for someone who's got some real scientific evidence, empirical testable evidence for evolution. You can check my website, drdino.com. Let me adjust my projector here at one time. According to evolution, you know, complex things happen automatically. Still cutting off the right side a little bit. Let's define a few terms here. For the sake of the argument, the word evolution has many different meanings, only one of which is scientific. First, we'd have cosmic evolution. That would be the Big Bang. There's no evidence whatsoever for this Big Bang theory happening, or that it would ever produce anything of any order. Okay? That is a religious worldview, not a scientific worldview. Secondly, we'd have to have chemical evolution. If the Big Bang theory is true, it produced hydrogen and a little bit of helium. Well, how did we get all these different elements then? 92 naturally occurring elements plus the synthetic ones. This would have to happen. You don't hear this talked about much in schools, but there would have to be a long time of chemical evolution. And this, I think, is purely fictitious. Material only decomposes. Nothing ever gets more complex as far as the periodic table goes unless there's an enormous input of energy, which you have a chicken and egg problem here then. Thirdly, we'd have stellar evolution. No one's ever seen a star form We see lots of stars blow up. They're called novas or supernovas. Nobody's ever observed one star forming. And yet there's enough stars out there that everyone on Earth can personally own 2 trillion of them, and those are the ones we know about. There are probably more. Fourthly, we'd have to have organic evolution. Now, this is a major hurdle to the evolutionists. How do you go from non-living material to life? Life is unbelievably complex. Even what we would consider the simplest life form, and there's no such thing as a simple life form, take just a bacteria or a single-celled organism. Any single-celled organism that's alive is more complex than the space shuttle, which is the most complex object ever built by man that we know of. And one single bacteria is more complex than that. Fifthly, we'd have to have macroevolution. This is where an animal changes to a different kind of animal. No one has ever observed this. Darwin's book was called The Origin of Species. There's never been a good rock-solid definition of species. Animals, for instance, dog and a wolf are different species, Canis lupus and Canis domesticus, yet they can interbreed. Zebra and horse are different species and even have a different number of chromosomes, and yet they can interbreed. I think they're the same kind of animal, obviously. If you stand back and look at them, this is still the same kind of animal. Sixthly, we have microevolution. This is where you get a variety within the same kind. You may get a big dog or a little dog, but I guarantee you will always get a dog when you crossbreed dogs. And yet the evolution theory teaches that dogs, long ago and far away, came from something that was non-dog. Now, they're welcome to believe that, but that is a religion that is not scientifically observable. The first 5, I think, are stupid. They are religious. It has never been observed in the history of humanity. You have to believe in these things. That's not science. According to the Big Bang Theory, 20 billion years ago, nothing exploded. Now, when the Big Bang Theory first came out, George Latimer said, according to Isaac Asimov, Latimer conceived the mass, the Big Bang, to be no more than a few light years in diameter. At the very least, that would be 2 light years, or about 12 trillion miles. By 1965, that figure was reduced to 275 million miles. By 1972, they said it was only 71 million miles. That was for the original Big Bang. By 1974, it was 54,000 miles. By 1983, they said it was a trillionth the diameter of a proton. And now they're saying nothing at all exploded and produced everything. Well, you are welcome to believe that, okay? I don't care what you believe. But don't call that science, and don't use my tax dollars to teach that to the kids in school, because that's not science. That's a religious worldview. That belongs in a philosophy class, not a class of science. But here's a science textbook teaching the kids, 18 to 20 billion years ago, all the matter in the universe was concentrated into one very dense, very hot region that may have been much smaller than a period on this page. That is just silly. Now, if you want to believe that, I don't care what you believe, but don't call it science. See, evolution is commonly mixed in with science, and that's the tragedy, okay? Beer is sold at football games, too. Beer has nothing to do with football. And just because evolution is mixed in with science class does not mean evolution becomes scientific by association. It is not scientific. It is a religious worldview. This textbook says someday all of the matter and energy will once again be packed into a small area, no bigger than the period at the end of this sentence. Then another Big Bang will occur. They tell them it happens every 80 to 100 billion years. Well, you're welcome to believe that, but that's not science. My point is, evolution is a religious worldview. You have to believe in it. It has never been observed. This textbook says nothing really means nothing. You have to be at least that smart to write a textbook these days. He said not only matter and energy would disappear, but also space and time. However, physicists theorize that from this state of nothingness, the universe began in a gigantic explosion. Well, you're welcome to believe that, but don't call that science. That's not science. Even Scientific American is publishing this kind of garbage. This guy says the observable universe could have evolved from an infinitesimal region. That's a dot. It's then tempting for those to go one step further and speculate the entire universe evolved from literally nothing. So I'm not making up what they believe. This is actually what the evolution theory teaches. And you're welcome to believe it. But that's not science. Okay? They say this Big Bang, let me get to a different slide here.